Hi there. Quite a difficult FMQs for John Swinney this afternoon, where Labour's leader Anna Sawar managed to pull out a document from the hospital inquiry that's ongoing and basically tell him that it shows that political pressure was applied to health chiefs to open the hospital too early. Anna Sawar has accused the First Minister of putting politics before patient safety, which is quite a strong accusation. And it is meetings between officials in 2019 and 2020, which are included in the inquiry evidence. John Swinney talking to journalists after FMQs, basically pointing to the Inquiry Council on Friday, saying there was no evidence of political pressure being applied. But obviously the inquiry is still to look through its findings and come to its conclusions. That could take months, even longer. So a very difficult day for John Swinney and quite a good one for Anna Sawar.
We now know that the hospital was opened too early and when it was not ready, with devastating consequences, including avoidable infections and deaths. Political pressure was applied to open that hospital. Why did SNP ministers put politics before patient safety?
First Minister.
That was not the case, and the reference for that is what the Counsel to the Inquiry said on the 23rd of January, who said there is no evidence of external pressure on NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde to open the hospital early or before it was ready to be opened.
Yeah, misleading again.
Anna Sawar.
Presiding Officer, John Swinney is about to regret just saying that, because we know the culture of this SNP government is to avoid putting things in writing so that there is no paper trail. But all it takes is for the guard to slip once. I have here in my hand official Scottish Government meeting notes. These notes, written by a Scottish Government official, relate to a series of meetings held on the 16th of December 2019, the 19th of December 2019 and 10th January 2020. Those meetings involved a Scottish Government official appointed by the then Health Secretary, the Health Board's Director of Facilities and a consultant who had been engaged by NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde to review what went wrong. It states in its findings in black and white, political pressure was also being felt and no consideration was given to delaying the opening of the hospital despite the issues being faced with completion and operation. Political pressure was also being felt. So will John Swinney now tell Parliament why political pressure was being applied to open a hospital that this note also makes clear wasn't ready and led to people dying?
Has Labour uncovered proof that the Scottish Government pressured health officials to open the Glasgow super hospital before it was safe to do so?
No, that document is with the inquiry and it's been considered by the inquiry, and the Counsel to the Inquiry said on Friday that there is no evidence of external pressure on NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde. And when you set up a public inquiry, you give it all the information, you allow that inquiry to judge, and I've got every confidence in Lord Brody judging on these issues.
But this is part of the evidence before the inquiry, a report commissioned by the Government and the Health Board, and it has found that political pressure was also being felt and no consideration was given to delaying the opening of the hospital.
And I simply cite to you that the Counsel to the Inquiry on Friday said there was no evidence of external pressure on the NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde in that respect. And you know, when we set up a public inquiry, a full independent public inquiry which has got access to all of this information, and this is not a revelation, this is in front of the inquiry, this is documents the inquiry has had, then I think it's important that we listen to the inquiry.
But it is a revelation of political pressure which you have denied was applied by the Scottish Government.
And Counsel to the Inquiry said there was no evidence of external pressure on NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde in this matter, and that document is with the inquiry and the inquiry can judge on that matter.
But John, the document is saying that political pressure was felt. Are you saying that this document, conducted by officials, right, and people appointed by the Health Board and attended by a Scottish Government official, is wrong?
Well, what I'm saying is that we set up an independent inquiry to have access to all of the documentation and to enable it to come to judgment. And the Counsel to the Inquiry on Friday said there is no evidence of external pressure on NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde, and the inquiry has that document.
So you're saying it's wrong?
No, I'm simply saying that I'm simply relying on the proceedings of the independent judge-led public inquiry, which is looking at all of these issues. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.